Have you ever heard of a ruler who, in just 5 short years, completely transformed a vast empire? Not through bloody conquests alone, but through sheer administrative genius. Today we're diving deep into the story of Sher Shah Suri, a man whose innovations were so profound they were later adopted by the mighty Mughals and even the British. This isn't just a history lesson, it's the story of a visionary who laid the groundwork for modern South Asia. Sher Shah Suri's rise to power is a tale straight out of an epic. Born as Farid Khan, he wasn't of royal lineage. He started as a private soldier and, through his unmatched strategic mind and leadership skills, climbed the ranks to challenge and ultimately overthrow the Mughal Emperor Humayun. In 1540, he established the Sur Empire, a kingdom that stretched across the northern Indian subcontinent. But his real legacy wasn't just the empire he built, but how he governed it. His reign, though tragically short, lasting only until his accidental death in 1545, was packed with reforms that would echo for centuries. Let's start with the arteries of the empire, the roads. Sher Shah understood that for trade to flourish and for his armies to move swiftly, he needed a robust network of highways. His most famous project was the revival and extension of the Grand Trunk Road, or the Sadak-e-Azam. This ancient route was transformed into a superhighway of its time, spanning over 2,500 kilometers from Bengal in the east to what is now Pakistan in the west. But he didn't just build a road. Along its entire length, he established sarais, or roadside inns, at regular intervals. These weren't just simple rest stops. Each sarai was a fortified complex with separate lodgings for Hindus and Muslims, fresh water from wells, and even provisions for travelers' horses. It was a secure and organized system that made travel safer and more efficient than ever before. For merchants, this was a game changer. They could now transport goods across vast distances without the constant fear of bandits. This security boosted commerce and filled the state's treasury. The sarais also doubled as post offices, or dak chowkis, which brings us to his next brilliant innovation. Before Sher Shah, communication across the empire was slow and unreliable. He established a highly efficient horse-based postal system. Relays of riders were stationed at the sarais, ready to carry royal decrees and official mail at incredible speeds. Imagine a 16th-century express delivery service. This system allowed Sher Shah to stay informed about every corner of his vast empire, giving him unprecedented control and allowing him to respond quickly to any rebellion or crisis. It was the nervous system of his administration, connecting the central government to its farthest provinces. Now let's talk about the economy. One of the biggest problems facing empires is a chaotic and inconsistent currency. Different regions use different coins with varying weights and purity, which made trade confusing and ripe for fraud. Sher Shah standardized it all. He introduced 2 key coins, a silver coin called the rupiah and a copper coin called the dam. He fixed their weight and metal purity, ensuring that a rupiah from one end of the empire was worth the same as a rupiah from the other. This single, uniform currency streamlined trade made tax collection simpler and stabilized the entire economy. Does the name rupiah sound familiar? It should. It's the direct ancestor of the modern-day rupee used in India, Pakistan, and other countries. That's how impactful his reform was. Perhaps Sher Shah's most humane and far-sighted reforms were in land revenue. He knew that the foundation of the state's wealth was its agriculture, and the well-being of the peasant was paramount. He introduced a system of land measurement and assessment. Every farmer's land was carefully measured, and its productivity was assessed. The state's share of the produce, the tax, was fixed, usually at 1/3 of the average yield. This was a revolutionary concept. For the first time, farmers knew exactly how much tax they had to pay. There were no more arbitrary demands from corrupt local officials. He even gave farmers a document called a pata, which specified the size of their land and the tax they owed. In return, the farmer signed a kabuliyat, accepting these terms. This created a direct relationship between the state and the individual farmer, cutting out the exploitative middlemen. Sher Shah was also compassionate. During times of drought or famine, taxes were reduced or even waived, and the state provided loans to help farmers get back on their feet. He famously said, "The cultivators are blameless. They are the providers of the kingdom." This philosophy ensured agricultural stability and the loyalty of his subjects. Justice was another cornerstone of his rule. Sher Shah had a reputation for being an impartial and strict dispenser of justice. He believed that justice should be accessible to all, regardless of their status. He personally heard many cases, and he established a hierarchy of courts throughout the empire to handle local disputes. He was particularly harsh on corrupt officials, and even his own relatives, if they were found guilty of oppression. There are famous stories of him punishing high-ranking nobles for mistreating commoners, sending a clear message that no one was above the law. This sense of fairness and security was crucial in winning the hearts of the people. To manage this vast administrative machinery, he reorganized the empire into smaller, manageable units called sarkars, which were further divided into parganas. Each unit had its own team of officials responsible for law and order, revenue collection, and justice. This decentralized structure, governed by a clear chain of command, made the administration incredibly efficient. It allowed for local governance, while ensuring that everyone was ultimately accountable to the central authority in Delhi. When the Mughals returned to power under Akbar, they didn't dismantle Sher Shah's system. Instead, they built upon it. Akbar's famous revenue minister, Todar Mal, had actually worked under Sher Shah. He refined and expanded upon Sher Shah's land revenue policies, which became the backbone of the Mughal administration for centuries. The currency, the postal system, the provincial administration. So much of what we credit to the great Mughals was actually pioneered by this Afghan ruler. Even the British, when they took over, were impressed by his system and adopted many of its principles for their own governance of India. Sher Shah Suri's reign was a brief but brilliant flash in the history of the Indian subcontinent. He was more than just a conqueror. He was a master builder of institutions. He created a model of governance that prioritized efficiency, justice, and the welfare of the common person. His roads connected people, his currency unified the economy, and his revenue system empowered the farmers. He proved that a state's true strength lies not just in its military might, but in a just and well-managed administration. His legacy is all around us, embedded in the very fabric of modern South Asia's administrative and economic systems. So the next time you hear the word rupee or travel along the Grand Trunk Road, remember the visionary king who, in just 5 years, set a new standard for what it means to be a ruler. His story is a powerful reminder that true leadership is about building things that last. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into the past fascinating, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories of forgotten geniuses from history. Let us know in the comments which historical figure you'd like us to cover next. Until then, stay curious.